Hi everyone, Lisa Gifford here. We got a whole bunch of last minute ornaments that we're going to show you. Some of them we were inspired by the ornaments that came in for the ornament contest, and then we got our very own Miss
Sandy Wilkinson.
Sandy Wilkinson here, and she has inspired us with an ornament that she has made you've made these for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And she came up here with a big basket full of them one day and just passed them out to everybody up here at the Martelli. And I've got a couple of them here. So what is it what are they called, what you're making today?
I just call them pinwheel ornaments. They are prairie points that are put around a pillow and then hung up.
And they're so adorable. So I'm gonna go quickly through some of the things that inspired me, but I'm gonna make this majority of this of what we're doing today going to be all about her. So I'm going to talk to you about the ones that I was so inspired by because they're very quick and very easy, and they're just made with, just little bits of scraps of fabric that you would have. And what I loved about them is very simple shapes. So the shapes that I'm mainly working with is a circle, a hexagon, which we've all got our hexagons if you've been making the hexagon bowls, and you can make these in any size. And then I've also got our pentagon shape, and it is the 5 points on here. And I've been using this, so this is a new one that wasn't even part of our ornament contest, but I was inspired by this. And it is, if you get the Martelli pincushion template set, here's our little pentagon that's in there, and I'm going to show you an ornament that I made with that. So the ornaments that came in from the contest was these square ones that came in, and so I made like 4 of them. And what I loved about them is they're square, but they start off as circles, so they're very quick and easy to do. These would be great projects that you could do with your children, with your grandchildren. You can make up a whole bunch of these and just decorate them any way that you want in any 2 different fabrics. It works really well if you have 2 contrasting fabrics so that these show up very nicely. So I'm going to show you these. Another one that inspired me was these folded origami style ornaments, and I have made so I can just continue to go through all of the ones that I've made here, just on, and so many different kinds. Isn't this one beautiful? Now I did this one with lame fabric, and this is just a single piece of fabric that you stabilize. So I used some of the Bolsel fashion fuse, or the shirt fuse, the woven interfacing, not non-woven, but I used the woven because it gave it a little bit of body. And I just continued just making these in so many different colorways. And then I had some of these, like rhinestone beads that I just glued into the centers. But then I took another twist on these. I just kept making them. It was just crazy. My Saturday. They're addictive. This was my Saturday. I just kept making these and making these. I kept seeing how would it look with plaids? How would it look with the print? How would it look like with the print? So I just kept making these. These were very addictive for me. But then I had this one that came up, and you couldn't really see it, but I don't know if we can get into the camera and show how I took another twist on it by taking the edge, which would have been like this little section right here, and I pulled it up and I pinched it right here, because my husband said, well, they need a little bit of dimension. So I thought, well, right, they do need a little bit more dimension. So I pulled them up, each little petal here, like each one of these little petals right here. I just pulled it up at the end and I pinched it, and you could sew it, or if you have some hot glue, you could hot glue it. So that's what I did here. I just put a little dab of hot glue on the base of each one of these. But you could even, if you wanted to add another dimension to it, you could bring these whole points up and you could pinch them. And that would give you a totally different look by pinching these here. I even thought about taking them and pinching them here, and then would add another dimension right here. So you could play with these a little bit to add more dimension than what they already have, because they actually look like the stars coming out of the background. But these are made out of a single piece of fabric. The key thing is, what size do you want to make them? Well, the main thing is whatever size hexagon that you use, the finished product is going to be half that size. So if I did a, say, this one here, which is 4.5 inches across here, then this it's going to be half this size when it's finished across here. So like I think this one here, like one of my biggest ones, I'm going to measure this size. It is 4 inches. So this is one of my biggest ones, and I made this one out of an 8-inch, the big 8-inch hexagon. Well, I've used, might have those because we used them to make our little bowl, you know, our little, what are these little touchy
Trinket
things,
bowls?
the little trinket bowls. So it makes it half the size. So I'll show you how to make those. So, and then the new ones, the ones that I made out of the pentagon, that's these right here. So these you might not have seen. And I've got 2 different versions of it. So this is made out of the pentagon shape that you can get out of that pentagon pincushion. And then here is a Bethlehem star made out of the hexagon, but 2 pieces of fabric. So let's just start. Let's go with these stars right here. We'll start with the pentagon shape. So if you wanted to make this one right here, all you need to do is get the pentagon template, and you're going to cut out 2 pieces of fabric. And I recommend having a contrasting fabric. You're just going to cut out 2. You're going to put the fabric right sides together, sew all the way around, and you're going to leave an opening. So then when you get to that point, you're going to back tack, then you're going to flip it out, clip your corners and flip it out and press it. Now, you'll notice on this one right here, that's where I'm at. I flipped it out and I pressed it. But I did not top stitch it as I went all the way around. I left that, there's that opening, because I'm going to go back over this and sew this. So I left it without putting that top stitching. If I was to top stitch this right here, then I would have a double row of stitching, and I didn't like the look of that. So I left it open. Then you're going to take you need to find the centers of each one of these edges. So I just took point to point and I folded it, kind of did a little finger press right here, open it up, and then I marked it. And I did that all the way around. I marked the centers of each one of the sides on this pentagon. So now the main thing is you're going to fold these points in, and you're going to fold them between point and point. So here's my 2 points right here. So I'm going to take my 2 marks that I did from the centers, and I'm just folding it over so I can just barely see my little halfway mark. And I just clip it. Now you can hit it with the iron, and I'm just going to continue folding all these over, matching up that point there and this point here, and then I clip it. Because then I'll take it to my iron, and then I will iron it flat, and then all you're going to do is you're going to stitch all the way around. Thank you, Sandy. So you just keep folding these in. So there is how your star is going to show. So then you're just going to top stitch now here all the way around. If you could see closely on, let me see, where's the other one? I had 2 here. So here's where I showed it. Now if you wanted to match your threads, it would be not seen. So like I used a white thread on this fairy frost right here, so you can't see my stitching and you can't see it on the back side. But this one here, I went ahead and did that. I just top stitched all the way around, and I actually jumped across a little bit right here so you could see it. I wanted you to see how that's going to look, because I also want you to see how it's going to look on the back. And then all I did was I just hot glued, and it's a little messy right here. I probably would cover this with one of my sequins or a button. I could put a button over top of that, and I could cover that up if I wanted to cover up my hot glue right there. Or you could put one of these little sequined, you can pick these up at, I don't know, I think I've seen them just about anywhere, these little sequin beads that you can, put on here, and iridescent beads, and I could put one right here. And I've done it on lots of these other ornaments. I actually went on the back side, I covered up right here, I covered up where my thread, where my hanging cord is. So you don't have to see that hot glue there. So I wanted you to see, because it didn't make a sharp point on stitching it down. So that's using the pentagon. The same thing if you wanted to make say the Star of Bethlehem. So all I would have to do is just to sew this one down. The Star of Bethlehem is the same procedure, and that's this one here. So it's a 6-pointed star. So same thing, you're going to cut out 2 pieces of fabric. You're going to put them together, right sides together, stitch all the way around. So like this, 2 pieces of fabric, stitch all the way around. And just like I did with this one, I did not top stitch it. I still have my opening here. And I marked my centers all the way around. I don't know if you can see, but there's my center mark. I folded it point to point, marked my little dot all the way around. So then just like I did for the 5-point star, for the 6-point star, same thing. You're going to fold this over and you're going to start right there at that line, and you're going to match up to that line right there. You can finger press it, or you can grab a clip and just kind of hold it in place. And then you're going to do the next one the same way. Fold it just to where you're at that center point and clip it. And it's really good, again, to have a contrasting fabric so it looks really nice and pretty. So here I'm just using Fairy Frost, and I'm using this white silvery and this gold, and I thought this looked very nice. Just folding it, and folding it, and putting a clip there. Folding. You might want to put like a little glue to hold that where it left open a little bit. And then last fold here and here. And then just like the star, I would just match up my threads, and I would take this to my machine and I would just stitch, 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 stitch all the way around. And it's going to give you this little look right here. And if you matched up your thread, I didn't match it up because I just kept the white. So then I actually see it on the back side too. But if I matched up this blue, then you wouldn't see this. So again, simple little ornament that you can make in any different size with a lot of the templates that you actually have. And I just really like this Star of Bethlehem. And using a nice glittery, solid, contrasting fabric makes it real pretty. And if you pick up these little beads or these little, I don't know, what are these called?
Crystals.
Huh?
Crystals.
Crystals, these little crystals. This would have been really pretty, that I could take these and I could like glue them or hot glue them to all the different little points here. Just give it a little bit more glitzer, a little more glam if I wanted to, put some here. And this is where the grandkids would have a lot of fun, where you could just, get a low temp glue gun and glue these down, and it would just be really, really pretty. Just make something really quick and pretty that you could do. All right, so that's these two. All right, so went a little nuts on those, but the ones, the ones that drove me nuts, right? The ones that I spent a lot of time doing. It's like I made a bunch of these, the square ones. So how do we make the squares? Believe it or not, these start off as circles. And I actually used, I'm going to grab it, this. So this is the miniature roundabout, but of course we all have our circle templates. If you have, the Martelli, circle templates, they would be perfect for this, because you need to have 2 fabrics that are contrasting. Like I did here. I've got the blue and I got this white Fairy Frost silver. So these are square, but they actually start off as a circle. So you're going to cut out 2 fabrics, whichever fabrics that you want, and that's kind of like what I have here. I have a gold and I have a silver, and I just place them right sides together, and I'm going to stitch all the way around, and I'm going to leave an opening. Now when you're doing with circles, you need to be sure to clip your corners, or if you have some pinking shears, trim off all of your edges all the way around, so it gives it a little bit of give. So once you have your clip, whether you clipped them or whether you trimmed it with the pinking shears, then go to your opening, you're going to flip it out and you're going to press it. Now this one, once you get it done, you do want to top stitch it all the way around. So I'm just doing an 1/8 of an inch top stitch all the way around. Now's the fun part, because now we're doing a little bit of hand stitching, but it's not much, it's just a little bit. So you're going to take it and you're going to take your circle that you've got done and you're going to fold it in half. You're just going to meet it and just fold it in half. And I actually hit a little iron or seam pressed it right here because when I opened it back up, I actually marked my halves. You can see right here, there's my little pencil mark. So I marked it this way, and then I opened it back up, and then I folded it the other way. So I got it half and half. So I matched up my two. Once I folded it in half this way, and I marked it here and here, then I took my marks, and I matched up my marks, and I got my points here to here so that they're directly crossway from each other. Now you're going to open it back up and you're going to pull together, you're going to match up two of those marks and you're just going to put a couple of stitches in there. Then keeping your thread and your needle here, keeping it here, you're going to grab the other two pieces, the other two marks, and you're going to pull them to the center also. And you're going to now whip stitch those all together. So I just grab my needle and my glasses and I just whip stitch those together. So just give me a sec. I'm going to match up. I'm going to catch it here. I'm going to catch it here. I'm going to start my loop here, drawing it all in right here, just drawing it all in. And just put a couple of stitches in there. You could do a single thread or you could have your thread doubled. It doesn't take much, just a couple. Because I'm going to put some hot glue in the center anyway, and it's going to hold it all together when I hot glue my bobble or bead or whatever I want there in the middle, or you could actually hand sew a button on there if you want. So this was an ornament that was also inspired by one of you. All right, so once I have a couple of stitches and I still have my fabric right here, I think I can actually go ahead and tie a knot and knot this off because I don't think there is any more sewing. So it's just a couple of stitches and just tie this off and go ahead and clip that. So now you're kind of finagling this a little bit, keeping these together, and you're trying to get this to where this is going to be more flat down here and you're getting this to be more square over here on the edges. And so I'm just keeping this centered, and I'd kind of flip it over, making sure it looked like it was square here. You're getting it all nice and square here in the middle, maneuvering the fabric a little bit, and even taking it and giving it a finger press. You could actually take this to your iron and you can press it, because the next thing is you're just going to now fold these back. So you're just, once you have it squared up pretty square and pretty even, and this is kind of flattened and squashed right here in the center, I like to kind of pinch it right here, open this up like this, get my thumb up into this little groove right here, holding it, and then I'm taking this little piece right here and I'm just folding it back. And that's how it's making that point right there. So again, I'm going to show you, I kind of give this a finger press here and here, on the side here, and I've got this right here. So I kind of mash it down, I get my finger, my thumb up in that little coupling right there, and then I'm holding it all together, and then I'm just taking it and I'm folding it back. Getting that little point right there. So you're going to fiddle with it for a little bit. This is one of those little fiddly projects. And if you needed to, you can kind of get your finger up in there to fix that a little bit. And if you don't like it, you can take it apart and redo it to get it the way you want it. Same thing, kind of finger press it, hold it, and then just push it around. And then the last one, again, finger pressing, holding it, and folding it back. How easy is that? And how cute is that? I don't like that one, so I can redo it. Do it again.
I think these would be gorgeous to
Isn't that
have
cute?
the gold on those corners,
Mm-hmm.
and then do it the opposite where you have the silver on those corners. So you
Yeah.
just use the same two fabrics, but you make a bunch that are reversible.
Yeah, you can change up the look like this one right here. It's just a matter of which way you start.
Yep.
So these are the exact same fabrics, but one's done with the white being folded back, one's done with the blue being folded back. So it's just whatever you want to be, but that's literally all the sewing that you do is just those little stitches there in the middle, that's hand. And then all you do is just add a bow, you put a little button here in the middle or hot glue a little bobble, and then you're good to go.
Yeah. Roxanne said that hers never turned out that good.
Okay, and then the last one here is these little origami ornaments, and these are just so quick, so easy to do. So I'm just going to show you real fast. You're going to cut out your hexagon. Just remember that whatever size you start with, it's going to be half the size. So it's just one piece of fabric, and then you're going to fuse some fusible interfacing, and I'm using the shirt fuse or the woven interfacing on here, and trim it all up. Then you're going to find your center. So you can find your center by just folding it in half and giving it a little crease, and folding it in half again and giving it a little crease, and finding where all of that intersects at, and you're going to mark that with a pencil, or you're going to mark it with something that doesn't bleed all the way through because you just got real thin fabric here. Mark your center. Then you're going to do the same thing. You're going to mark your centers on each one of the edges. Fold it, mark it, fold it, mark it, fold it, mark it. Then you're going to get you a needle and thread, and you could match up your thread, and you're just going to tie a knot because this one is all hand sewing. Tie yourself a knot. It's not moving on me.
Christina said the last ones would make nice fancy pot holders.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then you're just going to take, you're doing all your drawing on the back side, not on the right side. You're doing it on the drawing back side. So then you're just going to run your thread right there through that little knot. Now what I like to do is I always kind of found where my center was on the back side and saw what was the main color that was going to be here. So that was the thread that I was going to match it up, because you're going to see some stitches that are going to show up on this back side. I don't know if you can see it here. I did it in the dark blue, so you can't see my stitches here. I did this in white. You've got a few stitches that are right here. Here it is in a blue, so you can't see my stitches here. So you're going to have just a few stitches that might show up on the wrong side. You can also cover that up with one of these bubbles. All right, so you're going to, I like to do just a couple of stitches, and that's where you're going to start. So now you're just going to take your needle and you're going to go to one of your little lines right here, and you're just going to catch it right there on the edge, about 1/8 of an inch, or you're just going to catch it, and you're going to draw it there to the center. And you're going to do this all the way around, and you're going to catch it again. And I found it is easier to hold it in place if I actually just did a knot right there. I just looped it, and it just held it there in spot. Then you're going to go to the next one. You're going to catch it about 1/16 of an inch, and you're going to pull it to the center. And once you had it there, then again, I just catch it with a secondary stitch, and then I knotted it. And you're just going to continue doing this all the way around. Grab it, bring it to the center, continue catching it. Once you have it all the way around, then the fun part is how do you get it to get this look right here. So you're going to continue doing that, and you're going to keep your thread on you, because you're not going to, you're going to need the thread for the second part. So I'm just going to keep catching these down. I don't think I should have had one that was partially done so I could show this. Go to the next one. See, that one didn't draw up tight. Grab your next one, pull it to the center, do your next stitch to kind of knot it into place. And you could do a single thread or double thread on this one. And then you got your last one right here, same thing, go and catch it right here. Pull it to the center. My thread is messing up. I hate these self-threading needles. They destroy thread. See if I can get that back on there. Catch that last one again.
By the way, Aunt Peggy is watching.
Aunt Peggy!
Yeah.
Hi Aunt Peggy, how you doing? All right, so I got that last one. I'm going to give it another little knot, catch it. Double sew that. Now you want to keep your needle threaded because now you got a little bit more stitching to do. So you got all of these points right here. So what I did is I just kind of popped them up and I finger pressed all the way around. Popped them up, making sure I get it all coming to a nice sharp point. Finger press these. You could touch this with an iron right here. And then to make this petal part right here, you're going to flatten it out. So you're going to just kind of mash it down right here, and you're going to bring this point to the center. So it has that look right there. Do you see that? That's what you're looking for. Mashing it down. And then you're going to grab this and you're just going to pull it back, or you can take those two edges right here and you could, I wish you could see this, but I'm going to, here's where I flattened it down right here. So I'm going to take these 2 inches, I'm going to kind of pinch them in and pull this back, because now you want it to look like this. It's just folding and folding and folding. So when you have it doing this, give it a finger press, and then you're going to take this right here, this piece right here, now you're going to fold it back to the center. And that's how it gets you this little look right here. So while that's being held down, so now you're grabbing your needle, which unthreaded here, you're grabbing your needle and you're going to stitch that one down. Then you're going to go to the next one and do the exact same thing. You're going to push this down right here to where that point comes there in the center. Give it a finger press. Then you're going to grab that point and you're going to pull it backwards, and these are going to kind of fold in. And then once you have them folded in, then you're going to fold this back in. And that's going to give you where it's lifting up petals right there. And you continue working yourself all the way around till all 6 of them are done, and you're going to have that look like this. Then I just took it to the iron and I just kind of pressed it all the way down, and then I glued a little bobble to cover up the center right there. So that is this one. And there's some YouTube videos. They're calling them the origami ornament or just folded hexagon. There are some YouTube videos out there if you couldn't get the gist of it here, but they're a lot of fun and real easy to do. So I'm going to stop right here because I am giving this now to Sandy. That's everything that I was going crazy making ornaments. So now this is Sandy, and I want her to show you how to make these because these are absolutely beautiful.
Okay, well, here's the ornament as it stands when it's totally done. And they can be very easily done in assembly lines, because I've done hundreds of them. And the first thing I did was cut out a whole bunch of muslin squares, 5 inches, and that I didn't bring one. Unfortunately, I just brought my pattern. You take 2 of them, you put right sides together, you draw a circle that is about 4.5. You want a 1/4 inch on the sides, and so you're going to sew that. And when I was doing assembly, instead of just drawing it, I actually laid this on the muslin and sewed around it.
Okay.
And that so that it would take less time. And I used a thin cardboard because not all the time do I see real well, and I sew the cardboard sometimes. So if you're using a thin cardboard like cereal box or something, then it doesn't make a difference if the needle goes through it.
Okay.
You just kind of wiggle it and get it loose. And that, so then you're going to kind of pull them apart and make a slit on one side, like here, so that you can pull it out and get it right sides out. And then-
Okay, because that's never seen. So because that's never seen.
This is never
Absolutely.
seen, so you don't have to make a real pretty, when you sew it back up, it doesn't have to be real pretty.
Okay.
And if it's not totally 100% circle by the time you get done, that's all right too.
It's going to be circle.
Because the prairie points are going to pull it into a circle.
Okay.
And then I stuffed it with fiberfill and that to where it's still squishy, but it's got
Not
some
real
body
tight.
to it.
Okay.
You
So
don't
that's
want
what
it,
gives it the body here.
yeah, you want to be able to get it to where it'll pinch and have a center to it, like a tufted pillow.
Okay.
But you don't want it so hard that by the time you get done with the last one, your fingers are ready to die because you're going through so many layers. So,
Okay.
and then the next step I did was I got a whole bunch of fabric together, and I just ironed my prairie points.
So are these 5-inch squares? So
These
like
are
if people
all
have 5-inch
5
squares, or if they have like
You
what, charm packs?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
Charm packs and that. So you would take, to make a prairie point, you fold it point to point,
Okay.
iron it down. So this is where you sit there with your big wool pressing mat and your starch.
All right. Because
And
these have
that-
to be starched pretty good, don't they?
Yeah, to hold so that they hold their fold over the life of the ornament and everything. I would starch them real heavily,
Okay.
and that I like this bottle because it gives a much more even spray than the regular spray bottles. And then you just
Although
spray.
the Martelli has that Mr. bottle.
Yeah.
Yep. So here's some that you've
Here's
already
some
done.
of them that are already done, and I play with them and lay them out as how once I've got them, I kind of play with them, decide how I want the pattern to be, whether I want 4 materials where I'm repeating them back, or sometimes I've done just one piece, one material, and
How
they're
many
all the same.
fabrics? How many
There are
squares?
16.
16.
So
Okay.
you can do 4 sets of 4, or whatever combination you want to do.
Okay.
And then I have done some where I use 2 colors.
Okay.
And then you just arrange them, play with them, and then I would stack them up, and I'd put them in my little baggies,
Okay.
and I could get 4 ornaments in each bag. And then when I went somewhere with my needle and thread and my bag of pillows, I would sit there and make them.
Oh my goodness. Well, show us how do you start? How do you
Okay.
So here's the components. You got to have 16 5-inch squares that are pretty much coordinating, and you fold them and fold them to get your double folded, these are your prairie points. Then you got your 2 pieces of muslin that you sewed in a circle completely all the way around, because you're just going to slit one open a little bit, stuff it, and just hand stitch it, whip it, stitch closed to
Right.
kind of get you your little circle. Here, this is going to be your center, and it's not heavily stuffed, but I feel like it's just nicely
Yeah.
stuffed. Yeah.
So it'll give some body to
Give
the
it body,
ornament.
because one of the things you got to remember is you're going to have a pretty heavy duty needle,
Yes.
so that you will be able to get through all of these needles. And she also recommended a thimble.
Yes.
Because that's going to be
When you get towards the end, you're going through 20, 30 layers.
20,
of
30
thread.
layers. So yeah,
So-
you're going to need a thimble. All right.
I have this one, but actually what's better is if you have a metal tipped thimble
Okay.
and that, because it will go through the
The silicone ones.
silicone ones.
Okay.
So you take your prairie point and just kind of go through the center.
And she has made hundreds of these. Hundreds.
Y'all have heard us talk about her when she came to the shop with just baskets full, and we were all just gaga.
All right, so you tied
Okay,
it, you
so I
made a
goes-
knot on one side,
on
and then
one
you
side.
just went through
I
from
went
one
through,
side.
and then I'm going to go back through again,
Okay.
kind of going straight, trying to stay where the thing is. Now, you want to, when you're laying your prairie points down, you want to make sure that you're keeping them in the same direction. So when I'm sewing together, I make sure that
You
I've
got the double folds
fold
on one side and the single fold
folds
on the
other
other.
side.
Okay.
So then you catch that one.
Oh, did you see how she did that? Okay, so she just kept her point up, the needle up, and she just laid like a
Speared it.
thumbtack. You just speared it down like. Now that's pretty cool.
And you just come up where you stitched before, or as close to it as you can
And
get.
you're going to spear it again. Look at. I wish y'all could see. She literally just brought this and just set it down on there. Now that's pretty cool because I would have been thinking I had to scoop it up, and you just speared it.
And I recommend a pretty heavy duty thread. Now I've doubled it, but doubling thread has its own issues.
Yes. It
And
has a
that-
tendency to knot or fray like you just saw this one do a minute ago.
That, or it doesn't pull all the way, one side doesn't pull all the way through.
So see, she can set this down with that needle just popped up, and now she's just going to spear it. How cool is that? That's just the coolest technique I've seen today. I would never thought to do that, Linda.
If
So
it
all the
doesn't
little
go,
tricks.
doesn't
I
go where you want it to
know.
go, you just pull it back and reposition it.
And she's spearing it down. Oh
And
my
you just want to
goodness.
catch the tip. And
Okay, so
that.
you're just catching tip, but you want to catch all. So one
But
side
you can
catch
see
it
what I
for
mean by by the time you get done, you're going to have quite a few
layers.
layers. And it gets a little tough going sometimes if your needle isn't real sharp.
Christine said a carpet thread and heavy tapestry needle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter if you're going to have a big knot to hold it, because you're going to glue in the center to hold this cording and put the button on. So it's going to cover those knots
It's gonna
up.
cover all of it up. Okay.
So you get, I should have done more where you had, when you get to the last one, you're going to have to kind of tuck it in to get it to where it's underneath the first one,
Okay.
you know, and that,
Just like that.
yeah. So you come and you pull them back and you get it, and then you kind of wiggle it a little bit and pull them up, and then I go around and I play with them and get them to where they're even. And
Because they're movable. You can fan these around a little bit. I was sitting here
yeah,
fanning
once
with
they
one-
glue, they don't move quite as much, but
Yeah.
when they're like this, oh, they move all over the place. So I just work with them until I get them where I want them,
Okay.
and then I will put some hot glue in the center, and I put my cord down on it and use a knife or tip of my scissors or something,
Something
so
to
I'm
hold
not
it
putting
up.
my fingers in
And the
that hot glue.
You're probably using a higher temp instead of a low temp on this one.
Yes, I
Yeah.
use the hot setting. Cool setting 1 tends to be a cloudier color. It
Okay.
doesn't.
Yeah, that's what I noticed
It
on all
does
these.
not go to clear like it should, and because I'm using snowflakes, I need that glue to be clear because you're going to see it. And then I'll just, after it cools, I clean up all the little strings that you get from glue. But you want to use enough glue that it'll hold the ornament and it being taken on and off of wherever you're hanging it.
So literally,
And see, like when I was making them, I would cut all my cords and put the different cords in different color, my reds. See, here's one that's all the same color.
oh, look at that.
Here's one that was only 2 colors. And see, here's all my buttons.
Oh,
There's a charm pack that I was going to use, a holiday charm pack.
Because we all get suckered into buying these charm packs. And then we don't know what to do.
What am I going to do with it?
But this is the perfect thing.
But it's a perfect scrap buster.
It is.
Yes.
It is.
I mean,
it is.
if you all have our cutting table, then you got the 5.5 inch. We've talked a lot about buying the evens. So you get the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5. You can use them for a bunch of things, but charms. Don't buy the charm packs, make your own charms.
Yes,
And
yes.
this is such a perfect project. We have Sharon that said, she says, I can see what I'll be doing this week.
I know. It was terrible. The ornament contest just blew me away, and I just literally spent all weekend making ornaments. And so now I'll probably be going home and making these.
Well, and they're
Just so
easy.
much-
Well, doing it, having it all divided up and everything. I'll be honest, a lot of them got done while I was driving Uber.
Oh,
And when
Yeah.
I was waiting for a ride to come along, I would be sitting there sewing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Curtis was watching football all weekend long, and I was just making these things. I just kept making them. Look, it's an explosion of these. So I really had a lot of fun. So we got a few minutes left. So any questions out there, Linda? Does
We
anybody
just got
have
some
anything?
great comments. I mean, Sharon said her tree is all in blues too. And I told her yours was, so that's wonderful. Amy
and
said she's
silvers.
going to go
This would go on your
stash
tree.
shopping. So
Yeah.
she's going to shop
would
through
be
her
pretty.
stash.
That's
I
my
think
colors
that's
right
so
there.
great to go through your own stash.
Oh, that's
You know, to
awesome.
see what you've got, all the scraps that you've got. I just think this would be so much fun. And you said you make these and you sell them.
I have sold them. I did not this year put them in the shop that I usually do. Unfortunately, my dad it's been a rough year for both of us.
She was very sick, got some
I was
surgeries.
in the hospital 3 times with a surgery. Daddy is on hospice, and he has his ups and downs. The
Yeah,
Lord has blessed us that he's still here.
I hesitated asking if you would come and show this because I didn't really know, but I'm so glad you did. And they're
Yeah.
loving this.
Well, I wasn't sure. This morning I was looking at him going, you sure you want me to go? And he said, go. So I went.
He's probably fishing.
No,
He didn't go fishing today.
he didn't go fishing. He
go
was
fishing.
on the couch when I left.
Okay.
Christina said she's going to be making these on Thursday when she takes a friend to the doctor's appointment. This is a perfect doctor
These
kind
are
of thing.
perfect
So,
for that because
yep.
it's, I just like what she said, I would recommend using a heavier thread and a heavier needle. Know that you're going to be getting through a lot of thickness, and a metal thimble. Because don't sit here and double up your thread thinking that's going to be enough, because you're going through so many layers and you don't want it to knot up and
Well,
twist on you.
it's more that you're constantly pulling and tugging on it.
Yep,
And
yep.
I
Yeah.
found that even when I used my embroidery thread, which is polyester, it would still break.
So what weight are you thinking?
I used the most successful I had was I actually had some 12 weight.
Okay.
But the hand quilting thread worked all right too.
Okay.
But I did have some decorative 12 weight thread that worked the best.
I just love these. I love how you could make them in any color scheme that you want to fit your decoration. I mean, I see these hanging in a window, like these are just cute. These I would hang these from a window. These are just cute. These would be cute just hanging on a doorknob. Just have these hanging on a little door hangers, just to decorate the little different areas of your house. I just love these. These are just absolutely adorable. This truly is my colors right here. Yeah, I got shades of blue and silver. So absolutely gorgeous. So I hope
Patty,
you all got inspired by this. This was so much fun.
Patty said she's going to dig out her metallic fabrics because she thinks that would be really cool. And then we had Sharon that said a memory star using clothes from those that have passed on.
Yep, you could do that
She-
with these.
Yep, and Amy just posted a video for the folded origami. We had somebody that asked for written directions of the folded origami, and
I
I
was
said
just
we
going
had
to send
videos.
them to the website
Yeah.
where I had seen it, and one of the samples that one of the ornaments that we had came in. It looked like she'd actually used some batting in it and kind of made it a little bit thicker. Now I used this silver one. I did this with silver lame fabric. So, and I did fuse onto the back of this. Just remember, if you're going to be doing something like a gold lame or this silvery lame, that's not like a quilting cotton, you're going to have to check your iron settings when you go to iron your fusible on here. And I have it on here, but it was ironed at a lot cooler setting, and it worked. So I was very tickled with how well this turned out, and I called Linda. I said, Linda, do you got any gold lame? 'Cause I didn't have any gold. All I had was this silver.
I don't have any lame. That's not in my stash. Nope.
So anyway, these were so much fun. Of course, I've been admiring these for at least 3 years. I've seen these for like 3 years, and they're
Maybe
just
4.
Yep, 3 or 4. Just love these.
Yep.
This one is a little bit more hand sewing, but what I loved about it was once I had my markings down, I'm sitting in the living room with Curtis while he's watching football, and I was able to whip these out and make one after another, after another, after another. And what I loved was, how many different sizes that you can make them with just the different sizes of, like I said, this one was an 8-inch one, 8 inches from here to here. But
Lisa,
it gets down this cute little
do
size.
you by chance have the originals that inspired you, Darla's?
Yes, let me go grab
those
can you original
grab?
ones over there. Well, Linda, you might have to grab them.
They're
right there on the tree. There was a red one.
Well, Darla's was the red one.
Yep, and then on the back
Sue
side,
McKeon was the black.
Susan McKeon, and those are the two that.
The red one right there.
There's that.
Right in front
This
of your
one's
finger.
Susan's, right?
This is
So Susan, this is what inspired me. I was so amazed by that. And then these right here, I can't remember who was the one that did these. There's the little red
Where's
one right there by, see the big red and gold one? Go down, go over, up. No, you need to come around the tree a little bit more.
Here.
Right there by the gnome.
Oh, Darla's
By the
right there.
gnome, yeah.
Okay, yep, couldn't
So,
find it.
so
There we go.
these inspired the circles. I was just so tickled by a circle that turned into a square. So that one was like, how did they do that? So that was really cool to me. And then this dimension, the way these popped out, that just blew me away. This one and this one's actually got a little bit more body to it. I just loved it. And then when my husband said, hey, you could do a little bit more, and that's where I just pinched this little bottom just to give it more of a look. I don't know
More
if the
3D.
camera can bring that in so you can see how by just doing that little bitty pinching, it does that. It just does that little bitty look from a more of a flattened look. And one hint, do not be overzealous after you get them all done to press the stew out of them, because you're going to flatten them out too much. What I had found was just press them more from the back side. If you're wanting to get this crispness on this edge, don't do so much pressing over here on the top, because you're going to lose this dimension that you have right here. But I think that's it. Was there any more questions, Linda?
I think we got everything. I'm going to post the directions for Sandy's.
Yeah.
I've got to do little snippets to be able to save them as pictures, but they'll be on the Creating with Martelli Facebook
Fantastic.
page.
And as always, if you have any questions at all or comments, feel free to email us at learn@martellinotions.com. Learn@martellinotions.com. Be sure to reach out to us. Like, comment, share, tag this post. We sure appreciate it. It helps us out a lot. And thank you so much, Miss Sandy, for coming
you're
and doing
welcome.
this as soon as we talked about this, I knew that Sandy needed to be here, because she is a true inspiration with all of these amazing little ornaments that she has made. So again, thank you. And I'm
you're
glad you're
welcome.
doing so much better.
Yeah, me too. I was tired of being sick.
I know. All right. Well, thank you so much again. Thank you, Linda. And we will see you again next time. Bye-bye now.
Bye.